Captain Lyra of the Falran people stood on the command deck of Orbital Station Helios 9. Her tall frame, silver armor, and deep blue skin made her stand out among the workers moving around her. She carried herself with the calm pride of a warrior, raised on a world where strength was everything. In her mind, physical power decided worth. Speed, precision, and control were the rules of her people. This was why she felt annoyed when she heard the news. She was being assigned a human partner. Lyra crossed her arms as the station commander explained the new team order. Human engineer Mason Reed will join you during the next cycle, the commander said with a light tone. He has experience with multi-species systems. He will be useful. Lyra kept her face straight, though she wanted to sigh. Humans were known for bravery and strange ideas, but they were small compared to most warrior species. Their bodies were softer, their claws non-existent, and their muscles lighter. Lyra had only seen a few humans before, and her impression of them was simple, friendly, talkative, and fragile. She bowed her head respectfully and left the command deck. Inside her mind, she repeated the same thought again and again. A human cannot help me. This assignment will slow me down. Mason Reed arrived later that same day. Lyra met him in the docking bay. He stood there with a simple tool pack slung over one shoulder. He was average height for a human, with short brown hair and calm brown eyes. His uniform was a basic engineer suit with soft panels and magnetic boots. When he saw her approaching, he smiled in a warm and open way. "You must be Captain Lyra," Mason said. "Glad to work with you." Lyra nodded once. "We will focus on efficiency. Follow my lead and remain behind me during field work." Mason blinked but did not take offense. "Understood. I'm here to support." Lyra could not decide whether his easy tone was confidence or naivety. She walked past him, expecting him to struggle to keep up, but he followed at a steady pace. He walked lightly, almost silent, like someone used to moving in tight spaces. They started their day with basic checks around the station. Mason inspected vents, power nodes, and data lines. Lyra watched him with a cautious eye. He looked comfortable with the tools in his hands and did not hesitate as he worked. Still, she did not feel impressed. He simply did what any trained technician could do. During their break, Mason sat down across from her in the small rest area. "I heard you served in the Falran border guard for 12 cycles," he said. "That must have been intense." Lyra nodded but gave no details. She was not used to humans asking so many questions. Mason did not seem bothered by her silence. He ate his simple meal calmly while studying a holomap of the station systems. The shift passed without incident until an alarm echoed across the station. A flashing blue light covered the walls and a voice spoke through the speakers. "Unregistered vessel approaching. Hull damage detected. Possible emergency." Lyra stood up at once, her senses sharp. A damaged ship this close to the station could be dangerous. She turned to Mason. "Stay behind me. Follow my instructions." Mason grabbed his tool pack. "I'm with you." They hurried to the docking ring. The atmosphere was tense. Workers prepared medical supplies while officers scanned the incoming vessel. Lyra saw the ship through the observation window. It was an older model, small and round. Its metal plates bent from some kind of blast. Sparks flickered across its surface. Lyra could tell something serious had happened. When the ship docked, the airlock opened slowly. A group of terrified alien crew members stumbled out. Their uniforms were burned and their faces showed clear fear. One of them spoke quickly. "The reactor failed. We need help." Inside, Lyra stepped forward. "What is your reactor type?" They gave the name of a model she recognized. It was a dangerous design, unstable when old and easy to damage. She looked at the crew. "Did you shut down the core?" "We tried," their leader said. "The controls are stuck." Mason's eyes widened. "If the controls are stuck, the core might be climbing fast." Lyra nodded, surprised he understood the situation so quickly. "The ship must not explode while attached to the station. I will go inside and—" "I'm going in with you," Mason said. "You lack the strength and armor," Lyra replied. "Stay here." Mason did not step back. His voice stayed calm. "Captain, you know the reactor type. I know the power routing system." "You need both," Lyra paused. She did not like the idea, but the logic was sound. She gave a short nod. "Follow closely. Do not touch anything unless I instruct." They entered the damaged ship. The corridor lights flickered and the air smelled like burning metal. Sparks snapped from open lines. Lyra walked first, scanning each corner with sharp eyes. Mason kept behind her but did not hesitate. His steps stayed steady even as the heat increased. They reached the reactor room. The door was bent and jammed. Lyra pressed her shoulder against it and pushed hard. The metal groaned and she forced the door open. Inside, the reactor glowed dangerously bright. Panels were cracked. A loud hum shook the room. It was climbing toward overload. Lyra moved toward the main switch. If we cut the direct power feed, the core will stabilize long enough for removal. Mason stepped before a side console. This panel handles the secondary lines. If we disable this part first, your switch won't spark. Lyra hesitated again. She did not expect a human to know these systems. You are certain? Mason looked at the panel again. His brow tightened in concentration. Yes. His hands moved quickly across the controls. He typed in commands, bypassed broken circuits, and used a small tool to connect 2 damaged points. Lyra watched him with growing surprise. He made no wasted movements. He did not panic even as warning lights flashed brighter. The reactor's glow softened by a small amount. Lyra pulled the main switch with force. The room vibrated, then slowly quieted. The humming dropped in pitch. The reactor energy level fell to something safer. She exhaled. It is stable. Mason stepped back from the panel and wiped sweat from his forehead. Good. The crew can detach it now. Lyra looked at him carefully. She had expected Mason to freeze or panic. Instead, he stayed calm and worked with speed that rivaled trained Falran engineers. Outside the ship, the alien crew cheered when they heard the core was stable. Workers moved in teams to remove the damaged reactor safely. The station commander thanked Lyra, then turned to Mason. We owe you both. Lyra kept silent as she walked back to the station hallway with Mason at her side. For the first time, she felt unsure about her earlier judgment. She still believed humans were physically weak, but she could not deny Mason's skill, or his steady courage in the dangerous room. She looked at him. You handled yourself well inside. Mason gave a modest smile. Thank you. We made a good team. Lyra did not reply. Her mind held a single thought. Maybe humans have strength I cannot see yet. This idea stayed with her long after they left the docks, and it quietly changed the way she looked at her new partner. The next cycle on orbital station Helios 9 began with a quiet hum. Lights brightened across the corridors and the workers returned to their duties. Captain Lyra walked through the main hall with her usual steady steps, but her mind was not as steady as before. She kept thinking about what Mason had done inside the damaged ship. His calm mind, fast hands, and clear decisions had left a mark on her thoughts. Lyra had always believed that a warrior shows strength in the battlefield, not in a control room or inside a reactor chamber. Yet Mason's actions yesterday forced her to consider a new idea. Maybe strength had more than one form. She found Mason already at their workstation. He was kneeling beside a control panel, fixing a loose power line. He looked focused and peaceful, like someone who enjoyed solving problems instead of avoiding them. Mason noticed her and stood up with a smile. Morning, Captain. I checked the east sector lines. They were unstable, so I reinforced them. Lyra nodded slightly. Good work. She rarely praised anyone. Mason did not seem to expect praise either. He simply continued checking tools and reading data logs. The commander appeared on the holoscreen above their desk. Captain Lyra, Engineer Mason, the ship from yesterday needs follow-up repairs. Their crew asked for your support. Lyra accepted the assignment quickly. Mason packed his toolkit without being asked. They walked side by side to the docking area. The damaged ship looked a little more stable today, but its surface still carried burn marks. Lyra stepped inside first, feeling the familiar heat of broken systems. The alien crew members welcomed them with relieved expressions. Their leader bowed to Lyra. Captain, we thank you again. Our ship would not be standing without your help. Please repair the navigation core so we can return home. Lyra looked at the broken device. She knew the basics, but this was a complex part. The wires were melted in some places and the power grid was unstable. Mason stepped closer and studied the mess carefully. This will take time, but we can fix it, he said. Lyra raised an eyebrow. You believe so? Mason reached for his tools. Yes, the pattern is damaged, but the system design is simple once you read the flow. Lyra watched him open the panel. His hands moved smoothly, without fear of the sparks. He cut away burned metal, replaced coils, and rewired connections. He did not rush, yet he worked faster than most engineers she had met. His eyes scanned each detail with surprising sharpness. The alien crew whispered among themselves. They stared at Mason like he was performing something unusual. "He is human?" one of them asked softly. "Yes," Lyra answered, though she kept her attention on Mason. The aliens looked surprised. "He works like he understands our technology better than we do." Lyra did not respond. She was trying to understand it herself. Mason paused and glanced back at her. "Captain, can you tighten the side bracket? My hands are full." Lyra stepped forward and assisted him. Working together felt natural, even though she had never worked so closely with a human. She expected his movements to be clumsy, but they were precise. He communicated clearly, telling her exactly when to adjust something, when to hold something, and when to move back. She respected clarity like that. After nearly an hour, the navigation core lit up with a stable green glow. Mason stepped away with a tired but satisfied smile. "Navigation online," he said. The crew cheered again. Their leader looked at Mason with wide eyes. "Human engineer, we thank you. Your work saved our voyage." Lyra watched Mason accept their gratitude with simple humility. He never bragged. He just nodded and said, "Happy to help." When they left the ship, Lyra finally spoke. "Your skill is better than expected." Mason laughed softly. "I grew up fixing old machines. My family didn't have much, so we always repaired instead of replacing." Lyra listened quietly. She respected people who learned through real experience. "Your speed was effective. Thank you. You kept the core stable yesterday. That saved me time." Lyra looked ahead as they walked down the corridor. Mason's words were simple, yet they felt honest. She was not used to humans working with such quiet strength. Most of them talked a lot or tried to impress others. Mason did not. He worked, solved problems, and stayed calm. Later that cycle, alarms started ringing again. But this time, they were not danger alarms. These were system alerts from the long-range scanners. Officers spoke quickly as Lyra and Mason entered the control room. "Unknown fleet detected," one officer said. "Large formation moving toward our sector." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Are they hostile?" "We don't know yet," the commander replied, "but their formation looks ready for attack." A cold tension filled the room. Helios 9 was a mid-level station. It could defend itself, but not against a giant fleet. Mason moved beside Lyra, watching the holoscreen with concern. "How many ships?" he asked. "More than a dozen," the officer answered. "Maybe 20. Lyra frowned. "This is not a normal patrol." The commander shook his head. "Agreed. We are trying to contact them, but no response yet." Mason studied the formation carefully. He leaned forward as if recognizing something. "Their path is not random. They are looking for something." Lyra glanced at him. "You see a pattern?" "Yes," he said in a serious tone. "This sweep shape is used when searching for a damaged target." Lyra's mind connected the idea instantly. "The damaged ship from earlier." Mason nodded. "It fits." The commander's expression tightened. "If the fleet is hostile and wants that ship, we must prepare for trouble." Lyra straightened her stance. "I will prepare defense teams." As she spoke, Mason turned back to the screen. His eyes followed the ships, studying each slight movement. Lyra noticed the intense focus on his face. It was the same focus he had shown inside the reactor room. Calm, sharp, and strangely confident. "What are you thinking?" Lyra asked. Mason did not look away from the display. "If they want the damaged ship, they won't ignore us. They will investigate who helped it." He paused. "We need a plan before they get too close." Lyra watched him carefully. She saw no fear. He was thinking, calculating, forming ideas. She found herself waiting for him to speak again. Mason pointed at the map. "If we move the damaged ship to the lower dock and disconnect the energy link, it will look abandoned. That will buy us time. Then we can prepare shields and hide the main power signature." Lyra considered the idea. A false weakness. Exactly, Mason replied. If they think we are harmless, they won't attack right away. The commander overheard the idea and stepped closer. Human engineer, can this be done fast? Mason nodded. Yes, I can do the power work. Captain Lyra can coordinate the teams. Lyra felt a strange sense of unity forming. She had doubted him at first, yet now she stood beside him like a partner. It felt natural. The commander approved the plan. Get to work. Time is limited. Lyra and Mason hurried to the lower docks. Workers moved equipment and rolled cables. Mason took charge of the power lines with calm authority. Shift the current here, he said. Lower the signal. No sparks. His voice stayed steady and confident. The workers followed his lead without question. Lyra watched him direct them with precision. His strength was not physical, yet it was clear. He took responsibility, carried pressure without panic, and made decisions fast. For the first time, Lyra felt a spark of true respect. Humans might not have the bodies of warriors, but they had something else. Something deeper. A quiet strength that did not break under fire. When the fleet signal grew stronger on the scanners, Lyra looked at Mason. He gave her a firm nod. Let's finish this. Lyra nodded back. The danger was coming, and she no longer believed she was facing it alone. The unknown fleet moved closer to orbital station Helios 9 with every passing minute. The scanner lights blinked in fast rhythm, showing red markers spreading across the holomap like sharp claws closing around the station. Workers hurried through the halls carrying tools, cables, and emergency kits. Officers whispered to each other with tight worry in their voices. Captain Lyra felt her heartbeat slow into a calm warrior rhythm. She had faced danger before, but this was different. This time the station had limited weapons, limited shields, and limited chances. She stood on the command deck beside Mason, who was checking the last energy readings. The commander looked tense. They are less than 10 minutes away. No reply to our signals. Lyra folded her arms. A silent fleet is never peaceful. Mason studied the enemy formation again. His eyes followed the curved pattern of the ships like he was reading a map written in a secret code. Lyra noticed how steady he looked. Most humans would be shaking by now. Mason was not. I think I understand their behavior, he said. Lyra turned to him. Explain. They are not moving in attack formation yet, Mason said. They are searching for something specific. Their pattern is too organized for random scouting. Lyra nodded. The damaged ship. Yes, Mason agreed. They want it back or they want to stop whoever helped it. The commander stepped closer. If that is true, they will definitely investigate us. Mason pointed at the hollow screen. They will check our power levels first. They always scan for threat level before sending boarding units. Lyra studied the ships more carefully. Their formation indeed looked like a sweeping hand scanning an area. It reminded her of falcons circling the sky before landing on a target. We followed your plan, Lyra said. The damaged ship looks abandoned. Our power signature is low. She paused. Will this be enough? Mason exhaled slowly. It will give us time. Not safety. The commander gave orders to the officers. Prepare for possible contact. Do not open fire unless they attack first. Lyra moved closer to Mason. If they discover the truth, they will attack. The station cannot fight 20 ships, Mason nodded. I know. She expected fear in his tone, but she heard none. Instead, Mason leaned closer to the console and stared at the moving red dots like he was studying a puzzle, not a threat. Lyra found his calmness strange but also grounding. Humans often showed their emotions openly, but Mason felt different. He hid nothing. He simply did not panic. A sharp alarm cut through the room, unknown. Fleet has locked scanning beams on our station, an officer shouted. The holomap flashed, with bright lines showing the beams hitting the station. They are reading our shields, weapons, and power core, the officer added. Mason whispered, Here we go. Lyra lifted her chin. Hold position. Do not change power levels. Everyone waited. For several long seconds, the enemy fleet circled the station in silence. Their large triangular ships glowed with blue underlight, pulsing like quiet breathing. The scanning beam swept across every part of Helios 9. Lyra felt the tension rising. Mason leaned toward the screen as a new symbol appeared. There, they found something. The commander frowned. What did they detect? Not us, Mason said. Something behind us. The holomap zoomed out. A faint energy trail, almost invisible, drifted behind the station like a soft thread. Lyra narrowed her eyes. That is the path the damaged ship took before we pulled it in. Mason nodded. They are following the trail. The commander tapped the console. This gives us few minutes at best. They will trace the trail to the docks. Lyra turned to Mason. We cannot hide the truth forever. No, Mason agreed. So we need a plan for when they come. Lyra expected him to suggest retreat or surrender. Instead, Mason looked at the station systems with a strange spark in his eyes. We can use their search pattern against them. Lyra's brow rose. Explain. Mason pointed at the enemy ships on the screen. Their scan beams focus forward and downward. They are blind to anything that rises behind them. If we create false signals above their formation, they will turn upward to investigate. The commander stared. Why would they follow a false signal? Because their formation is based on fear of missing a threat, Mason explained. They trust their scanners too much. Lyra felt impressed. She did not know humans studied combat patterns like this. So we need a fake signal strong enough to confuse them, she said. Yes, Mason replied. I can build one. The commander gave a slow nod. Do it. We need every advantage. Mason ran to the engineering bay. Lyra followed without being asked. She watched him gather wires, power cells, and small emitters with swift movements. He looked like someone assembling a familiar tool, not building a distraction for a hostile fleet. What do you need? Lyra asked. Mason handed her a coil. Hold this steady. She gripped it firmly. Mason connected the emitter heads to the coil, twisting them with quick precision. Sparks jumped between the wires, but he kept working without fear. This will create a burst of false energy readings, he explained. To the enemy, it will look like a cloaked ship turning on. Lyra felt surprise. You can mimic a cloaked ship? To them, yes, Mason said. Their system reads energy patterns, not visual signals. He finished the device and turned it on. It gave off a soft pulse of light. Lyra raised an eyebrow. This small thing will confuse them? Mason smiled faintly. Sometimes small ideas make big effects. They carried the device to an outer maintenance hatch. When they placed it on the top of the station shell, Mason activated the final switch. A sharp pulse shot upward like an invisible wave. Seconds later, the enemy fleet reacted. Their formation shifted. Ships turned upward, searching the empty space above them. Their scanning beams changed direction, firing in wide circles. They took the bait, Mason said. The commander's voice came through the comlink. Human engineer, this worked. They think something dangerous is above them. For the moment, the enemy ignored the station. Lyra felt a mix of relief and rising respect. Mason had taken a small window of time and turned it into a strategic advantage. No physical strength, no armor, no weapons. Just clever thinking. She looked at him. Your mind works in ways I did not expect. Mason gave a small shrug. Sometimes danger helps ideas appear faster. Not everyone remains calm in danger, Lyra replied. Mason met her eyes. I know. The fleet continued sweeping the upper space, but soon one ship turned back toward the station. Then another. The false signal was fading. We need another plan, Mason said quickly. This bought us minutes, not safety. Lyra nodded. Then we continue together. Mason looked at the approaching red dots. We will have to be faster this time. The enemy threat was returning. The station's time was running out. Yet Lyra felt something she had not expected. She did not feel alone. Mason stood beside her, mind sharp, spirit steady, ready to help again. For the first time, Lyra understood that humans carried a strength her people did not measure. A quiet strength that changed the balance when danger closed in. The enemy fleet slowly drifted back toward orbital station Helios 9. Their large ships glowed with cold blue light, forming a tight circle formation. The false signal Mason created had only confused them for a short time. Now their scanners focused on the station again, searching for signs of danger. On the command deck, the officers watched with growing fear. The red markers on the holo map moved like a tightening ring around the station. Lyra stood near the main display, her posture straight and ready for action. Mason stood beside her with the same calm expression he always carried, but there was a sharp focus in his eyes. The commander spoke with a heavy voice. The enemy fleet is preparing a boarding sequence. They will send small units soon, Lyra nodded. They mean to take the station or silence us. Mason looked at the scanner data. Their first move will be tests. Small ships to check our response. The commander turned toward him. What can we do? Mason studied the enemy formation again. We need to confuse them once more. Not with a signal this time. With movement. Lyra waited for him to continue. If we make it look like we are moving power from one side of the station to the other, they will think we are preparing a large weapon or a hidden trap, Mason said. They will shift formation again. The commander frowned. How can we fake power movement? There are empty conduits on the outer ring, Mason replied. If we push small pulses through them, it will look like an energy buildup. Lyra understood. A false threat. Yes, Mason said. They fear hidden weapons. The commander nodded firmly. Do it, Mason, Lyra, take a team. Make this work. Lyra and Mason rushed through the hallways. Workers scrambled aside, following their fast steps. The station shook lightly as the enemy fleet changed position once again, scanning and preparing to approach. They reached the outer ring access point. Mason opened the panel and looked inside. We need 3 steady pulses. Not strong, but timed perfectly. Lyra motioned for 2 workers to help. They brought power cells and cables. Mason connected them with quick, precise movements. Ready, he said. Lyra stood guard beside him. Begin. Mason activated the first pulse. A soft vibration ran through the outer ring. Lights flickered for a moment. The enemy ships reacted almost instantly. Their formation widened, shifting backward like a group stepping away from something dangerous. It is working, Lyra said. Mason set the second pulse. This one was stronger, and the enemy fleet pulled even farther back, no longer moving in a neat circle. The ships spread apart, confused by the strange readings. Mason waited 3 seconds and triggered the third pulse. This one was sharp and bright. The energy signature traveled along the station shell like a glowing trail. The enemy scans froze for a moment, then shifted wildly. They think a hidden weapon is charging, Mason said. It bought time, but not enough. The commander's voice came through the comlink. The fleet is changing strategy. They are launching small fighters. 3 groups. Heading toward your section. Lyra's eyes narrowed. They will test the weak points. Mason closed the panel quickly. We need to move now. They will hit the outer ring first, Lyra nodded. Follow me. They ran through the narrow passageways until they reached the outer defense deck. Heavy steel doors opened when Lyra pressed her hand to the console. Inside, the defense team was already preparing light shields. The officer in charge saluted. Captain, 3 fighters incoming, fast. Lyra looked out the viewing window. 3 enemy ships streaked toward them with bright engines. They were small but fast, shaped like sharp blades. Mason studied their movement. They're testing our response speed. Lyra gave orders quickly. Activate partial shields, not full. We do not show all our power yet. The shields glowed faintly, forming a thin layer around the section. The fighters fired energy beams at the shield. Sparks spread across the barrier, shaking the deck slightly. The fighters flew past, then circled back for another attack. Mason pointed at the control panel. If we reflect one beam back at them, they will think we have a stronger shield than we do. Lyra nodded. How do we reflect it? Angle the shield at 20% left incline. The officer looked uncertain. That setting is not standard. Lyra replied calmly. Follow his instruction. The officer obeyed. The fighters fired again. This time the beam hit the shield and bounced at an angle, sending a small reflection toward the nearest fighter. The energy hit its side and the enemy ship spun briefly before regaining control. Mason whispered, "Come on." Believe it. The fighters suddenly moved back, creating distance. They think we have reinforced shields, Lyra said. The commander's voice came again. Excellent work. The enemy fighters are hesitating. But the hesitation did not last long. On the hollow screens, larger enemy ships moved forward. Their engines burned brighter. This time, they looked ready to strike. Mason stared at the new formation. This is it. They are preparing a real attack. Lyra stood tall. Then we prepare too. The station shook violently. The enemy had fired a warning shot. Alarms rang across the halls. Lights flickered. Workers grabbed railings to steady themselves. The commander called out, "Shields holding, but we cannot take many hits." Lyra quickly asked, "What options remain?" Mason looked at the station's weapon systems. "Our weapons are weak. We cannot win a direct fight." Lyra waited. "But," Mason continued, "we can disable their lead ship. Lyra looked closer at the holomap. The lead ship was the largest and sat in front of the others like a command vessel. How? She asked. Mason pointed to a flashing weak point on the ship's hull. Their control grid shows unstable signal output. If we send a burst of directed static toward it, their ship will lose balance for a moment. Their formation will break. Lyra felt a strong rush of hope. You can do this? Yes, she nodded. Tell me what to do. Together, they set up a static burst device using the station's little-used communication amplifiers. Mason tuned the frequency, his fingers moving fast and steady. Lyra watched the enemy ships outside the window. Preparing to fire again. Mason, she said softly. Now! Mason pressed the final switch. A focused, static pulse shot through space, hitting the enemy lead ship. Its blue lights flickered. Its engine sputtered. The huge vessel tilted slightly to one side. The enemy formation reacted instantly. Their ships scattered in confusion, breaking their perfect circle. Signals crossed over each other. Their coordination fell apart. The station crew cheered. Lyra turned to Mason. His face was calm, but his eyes showed pride. She stepped closer. Your idea shifted the battle, she said. Mason shook his head gently. Teamwork did. Outside, the enemy ships tried to recover, but their tight order was gone. The threat was still strong, but the station now had a chance, a real chance. Lyra looked at Mason with a new understanding. She had seen bravery in her life and strength and skill. Mason carried something different. Something steady and creative. Something that changed danger into possibility. For the first time, she felt a deep trust forming. We are not finished yet, she said. Mason nodded. Then we keep going. Together they turned back to the command deck, ready for the final stage of the conflict.